ॐ योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Namaste and good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. Veena, and on behalf of Yogavijnana, I extend a hearty welcome to all those present here for the session on first Yoga Upanishad, Advaya-taraka Upanishad. We are delighted to have Dr. Vishwanath MV as our course instructor, and we look forward to an enlightening session on the topic. But first, we would like to give a brief introduction about our center and the guest speaker of the day. Yogavijnana Center for Yoga, Therapy and Research was started in December 2012 by Sri Vinay Siddhaya, an ex-IT professional who left 12 plus years of corporate career with the intention of bringing science and philosophy together and sharing the science of yoga to the common man in the simplest way. At Yogavijnana, we believe in the experiential journey towards one's spiritual growth, and so far over 2,000 practitioners from across the world have benefited from our various programs. Apart from regular classes that are conducted both at the center and online for beginners and experienced practitioners, we do specialize in yoga therapy, conduct many in-depth yoga and health workshops on sadhaka, pranayama for seekers and yoga teachers, meditations, yoga retreats, silent trek, etc. We also conduct internationally certified yoga teachers training courses at our center. Bharatavarsha is known for its unique perspectives on various streams of knowledge. The Upanishads have been the backbone of our culture, its essence and existence. The 10 principal Upanishads are the most famous and commented. Along with them, there are several other Upanishads such as Shakta, Shaiva, and Vaishnava Upanishads that are listed and published. In this list, we find 20 Yoga Upanishads as well. The Upanishads are beyond technicalities and focus on the soul of it. These 20 Upanishads on yoga take us beyond asanas and pranayamas and enlighten us on the ultimate purpose of our lives. Yoga as the crux of our lifestyle requires the tenets of Yoga Upanishads. Advaya-taraka Upanishad is a part of Shukla Yajurveda and is the first amongst the 20 Yoga Upanishads. It deals about 3 types of lakshya, taraka, its definition and types, Shambhavi mudra, and characteristics of acharya and sadhaka. In a series of lectures, we shall explore all the mantras and their subsequent commentary composed by Upanishad Brahma Yogin. To enlighten us about this Upanishad, we have Dr. Vishwanath MV with us today. Some of you may have already read his introduction, but before we begin, let me now take the privilege of introducing Dr. Vishwanath to you all. Dr. Vishwanath MV currently serves as a guest lecturer in the Department of Alankara Shastra, Government Maharaja Sanskrit College, Mysuru. He is also serving as an adjunct professor at the Department of Heritage Sciences at IIT Hyderabad. His thesis titled Srimad Valmiki Ramayane Samvada Vimarsha was awarded with a PhD from Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. He has 3 master's degree in Sanskrit, Alankara Shastra, and Phalita Jyotisham. His research areas include Sanskrit literature, Ramayana, Sankhya philosophy, Arthashastram, Nimitta, Shakuna, and Phalita Jyotisham. He is currently the principal investigator of a research project titled Demarcation of Ramakatha through Samvada, funded by IKS Division of Ministry of Education, Government of India. He has published 4 research papers in referred journals. He has also contributed 4 chapters in the Kannada translation of Manasollasa, published by Karnataka Sanskrit University, Bangalore. He has presented research papers in many seminars and conferences. He has also delivered several talks on Sankhya philosophy Jyotisham, and Bhagavad Gita. Series of talks on Kumara Sambhava and Shishupala Vadham in Sanskrit, Kuvalayananda and Srimad Bhagavatam in Kannada, Rasa Gangadhara in Hindi are being made available on YouTube channel Guru Guhalahari. With this, I will hand it over to Dr. Vishwanath to lead us through the series. Thank you. Welcome you, sir, and please take over the session.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Om Yoma Agne Bhaginagam Santamatha Bhaganjiki Rishati Abhagamadne Tankuruma Magne Bhaginankuru Shabdartha Bhavi Bhuvana Srijati Ndurupa Yatad Bibharti Punaha Arkatanusvashaktya Vanhyatmika Harati Tatsakalam Yugante Tam Sharadam Manasi Jatuna Vismarami. Warm welcome to everyone. That was a very elaborate and unnecessary introduction about me. You will anyway get to know me once this course starts. We are going to start this series. We are going to kick off this journey starting today for the next 5 classes. And as the introduction was made, yoga is not an unpopular thing anymore. It's not a privileged thing anymore. It is, in fact, has become a household name, which, by the way, is fantastic for our country, for this great land, which has given all of this to the world. And Upanishads are just contrary to what yoga is. Upanishads are not so popular, and even if they are popular, they do carry a nameplate around them that they are difficult and they are not meant to be understood by everyone. Now, when you combine these two things, Yoga Upanishads, we get to know what we are starting today. Now, overall, without the mention of Vedas, the journey of Upanishads is incomplete, because Upanishads is very much an integral part of Vedas. We can't expect ourselves to pursue Yoga Upanishads or any Upanishad for that matter of fact without heeding to Vedas or without paying attention to the Vedas. In fact, there is a detailed description of how many shakhas or how many branches per Veda existed once upon a time in our country. It is a matter of pride. It is also a matter of past glory for our country that these many shakhas, these many branches of one particular Veda existed once upon a time in our country. There is a list that has been provided. I'm just going to read from the list, because we all are familiar that there are 4 Vedas, which I don't have to mention because that's very trivial in nature. So we all know the 4 Vedas, basic 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharvana Veda. Amongst these 4 Vedas, Yajurveda again has 2 divisions called as Shukla and Krishna. That is Shukla Yajurveda and Krishna Yajurveda. Each of these Vedas had several branches. And overall, the number of branches would come around to 1,180. These were the branches that existed of these 4 Vedas. And every single branch of Veda had a designated Upanishad. So you can imagine what would have been the total number of Upanishads that existed once upon a time. The total number of Upanishads that existed were 1,180 Upanishads. Out of them, only 108 have survived. And amongst these 108, 10 of them have been called as the principal Upanishads, the most important ones, which have been recognized. How did we arrive at this conclusion that these are the 10 principal Upanishads? Very simple, because every single acharya, every great sadhaka has commented on these 10 Upanishads. So that's how they became the principal Upanishads. They are namely Isha, Kena, Katha, Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya, Aitareya, Taittiriya, Chandogya, and Brihadaranyaka. So these are the 10 principal Upanishads on which all acharyas have commented. And these 10 Upanishads form the firm base for the study of Vedanta, or for the study of Moksha Shastra, in other terms. Likewise, there are other Upanishads as well that were found out amongst these 108. There were Shakta Upanishads, Upanishads that are dealing only and specifically with Shakti. And then there were Vaishnava Upanishads, the Upanishads that dealt only with Vishnu. For example, Rama-taraka Upanishad, Nrsimhatapini Upanishad. These are some of the famous Vaishnava Upanishads. And when it comes to the Shakta Upanishads, we have Bhavana Upanishad, like so on. And there was one more category that were made, and that category of Upanishads were called as Yoga Upanishads, and 20 of them were named under this category. All these things were found, and they have been published, all 20 Upanishads, along with the commentary of Upanishad Brahma Yogin, which is originally in Sanskrit. It was published in 1920. And then later on, they realized that there is a necessity of publishing it with English translation as well. So in 1930, again, with the help of a great scholar, T. Srinivas Iyengar, it was republished with English commentary in 1930 from Adyar Library, Madras. Erstwhile Madras, now it is known as Chennai. So this is the history of how these Upanishads were categorized, how and where can we find the original texts. And if anybody wants to go and refer, this is the whereabouts of our Upanishads. Now, amongst these 20 Yoga Upanishads, the first one of them is Advaya-taraka Upanishad. Now, before that, I promised you that I will tell you about the classification of the number of branches that each and every Veda consisted once upon a time, which is very important to know. Very quickly, Rig Veda had 21 branches, only 21 branches. In fact, amongst all the Vedas, only Rig Veda had lesser number of branches, 21 branches of Rig Veda. Yajurveda combined together, both Shukla and Krishna combined together, had 109 branches. Atharva Veda had 50 branches. And the biggest contributor was Sahasra Shakha Samaha, which means that Samaveda had 1,000 branches. So that was the biggest amongst all of them. Now, how many of them have survived is a sad story, which I'm not going to deal because there is no point in that. Anyway, now with all these Upanishads, with all these branches of Vedas, each and every branch of Veda did have a designated Upanishad. There was an intensive study of all these Upanishads that were carried out as well. Over the course of time, this parampara, this tradition was lost, and only a few of the Upanishads have survived, and people nowadays study Upanishads separately. Like, it is not part of the Vedic studies. If somebody is studying Upanishads, if somebody is pursuing the study of Upanishads, they won't claim that they are pursuing Vedic studies. Instead, they would claim that they are studying or they are pursuing Upanishads, which is ironic because we can't discount the fact that these Upanishads are very much an integral part of the Vedas. Now, the Upanishad that is in question for us, Advaya-taraka Upanishad. Now, the first question that may pop up in anybody's mind is, we have termed this as the first Yoga Upanishad, and yet, surprisingly, the Upanishad does not bear the name of yoga. There is no name in the title of the Upanishad. The name yoga, the term yoga, is not at all to be seen. then on what basis has it been classified as Yoga Upanishad? And what is the nature of the Upanishad that is going to help the enthusiasts and the seekers of this great school of philosophy, that is yoga? If I am a student of yoga, if I am seeking something in yoga, the title should have something in it for me. It says Advaya and Taraka. These are the two words that are associated in the title. Neither of these words are that familiar to us in the school of yoga. If they had said something about pranayama or some asana, we would have been easily would have connected very easily with this Upanishad. But since neither the title consists the term yoga, nor does it explains about all these nuances of or the procedures of yoga, it is rather a difficult procedure, or it is rather a difficult pursuit for somebody to understand why exactly this Yoga Upanishad, or what is the purpose, or why should we even begin the study of an Upanishad? What if we don't pursue the Yoga Upanishads? What if we do not continue with the study of Upanishads? Would it render our pursuit of yoga incomplete? Would it make our pursuit of yoga or our yogic studies incomplete? Or is it that without completing the Upanishads, or especially the Upanishads related to yoga, the Yoga Upanishads, if we do not complete the Yoga Upanishads, would it be incomplete? So these are some of the important questions that one might have had before joining to this series. Now, it is my responsibility as the speaker to establish certain facts related to all these things. In terms of the methodology that is involved in the pursuit of any Indian knowledge system, there are some fundamentals that are supposed to be told before we begin with anything. And one of those systems, one of those research methodology systems, they claim that until and unless you have mentioned what is the outcome of your pursuit, nobody would be interested in getting into it. So first and foremost, one must explain, one must put forth the details related to the outcome of this current pursuit. So what do we stand to gain from the pursuit of Advaya-taraka Upanishad? That is the question number one. Secondly, why is it called as Yoga Upanishad? Thirdly, what is the nature of Upanishad? And what are the eligibility criteria that is required for somebody to pursue Upanishad? Is it for everyone? If it is for everyone, is there any levels of understanding or eligibility? Is it a gradually growing eligibility, or is it a firm and fixed kind of eligibility? All these things need to be addressed before. Now, first and foremost, what is the meaning of the word Upanishad? The word Upanishad is formed with the help of two prefixes, and Shadilr Gatav is the dhatu, that is the root word in Sanskrit. Now, from this root word, it usually gives the meaning. It gives the verb called as Sidati. Sidati means to stay somewhere, to be present somewhere, to sit somewhere. Is called as Sidati. That is the expected root word from that particular root, expected verb from that particular root. Now, with the advent of, with the introduction of two prefixes, the prefixes are, by the way, called as upasargas. There is a reason why they are called as upasargas. The word sarga means srishti, creation. Even though this particular word cannot create by itself, it comes very close to creating something new. Therefore, these prefixes are termed as upasargas. There is an interesting definition of upasargas given in Vyakarana, where they say that these are static, these are dormant initially. certain words that have been told, that have been said by Panini, they are dormant by nature. But when they come in contact with any sort of activity, the moment they are in touch with an activity, they become upasargas, because they also take part in the process of creation. So what do we mean by process of creation? We are not talking about the evolution or this creation of this universe, nothing of that matter, nothing of that sort. When we say creation, we mean that the meanings are all hidden in the root word. That's why each and every word that is pronounced, that is told, that is uttered in Sanskrit language, one needs to pay attention to its root word, because every single meaning is deriving from that root. Just like, as we can see, the roots of the Vedas, the Upanishads, in the picture besides me that you can see, the roots are so firm, because it is the roots that give the strength to a tree. Likewise, it is the root word that matters the most. But sometimes the root word cannot present itself in its own form. So it requires some sort of arrangement, it requires some sort of amendments, it requires some sort of adjustments, modifications in order to be presented. So whichever aspect presents the meaning of the root word, along with its required modifications, those items or those materials are called as upasargas. Since they are directly not doing any sort of creation, but they are helping in the process of this creation of a new meaning, or enhancement or enlightening of a new meaning, dawning of a new meaning in the minds of a reader, in the minds of a listener. Therefore, they get the term upasarga. Now, there are two upasargas here in the word Upanishad, upa and ni. There are certain meanings of these prefixes that are predefined by some great grammarians over the years. Although Panini himself, in his grammar, in his Ashtadhyayi, has not defined any particular meaning to these dormant names, he has only said that these prefixes are elevated to the level of upasargas when they come in contact with any activity. But over the course of time, the grammarians have found out that these could possibly be the most prominent meanings of these words. And amongst them, the word upa refers to proximity, closeness. Upa samipe is usually in the samipartha, usually in the meaning of proximity, in the close quarters, the word upa is used. And ni gives the meaning of absoluteness, nitaram, definitiveness, affirmativeness. Therefore, proximity and affirmativeness, as well as sidati, to sit, to stay. Now, when you take these three meanings independently and put together in the right order, it definitely does not make any sense whatsoever, isn't it? Proximity, absoluteness, and staying. It does not make any sense at all. Then what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to get this? How do we arrive at the desired meaning of Upanishad? Because there is a popular notion of Upanishad as well. The word Upanishad is not only used as a category of Vedas, but the word Upanishad has also been used in various other meanings as well. For example, when they say, when they have to refer to something that is very secretive, or when they have to mention about something that is the essence of everything, or whichever topic that we are discussing, whichever topic we are dealing with, and if I have to mention that this is the essence of this particular topic, then I would rather use the word Upanishad. The word Upanishad has been used in this sense in many of our knowledge systems. Auchityam rasasya Upanishad para is one of the lines taken from Dhvanyaloka in Sahitya Shastra. In literary criticism, Anandavardhana uses this line. He says that Auchitya is the rasas Upanishad. Now, can we call Auchitya as, it's not required what is Auchitya and all, because it takes us somewhere else. but they have used the term Rasasya Upanishad, that is the Rasas Upanishad. Now, what do you mean Rasas Upanishad? Are there some other category as well, which has been discovered, calling as Rasopanishad? Has it got something to do with all types of chemicals and other materials as well? No. The word Upanishad here refers to the essence of it. What is the essence of rasa? The essence of rasa, according to Dhvanyalokakara, that according to Anandavardhana, is auchityam. So in this sense, the word Upanishad is also used. At the end of every conversation, at the end of every discussion that we find in the Vedas, they use the word Upanishad. Esha Vedopanishad. This is one of the common terms, common sentence that we find across the Vedas. And it is not only related to one particular Veda. We find this sort of a statement being made across all 4 Vedas. So what do they mean when they say Esha Vedopanishad? They mean to say that this is the essence of this Veda. This is the essence of the topic that we just discussed so far. So we know that the destination that we have to arrive, the meaning that we have to derive, the meaning that we have to arrive at is the essence. But what has essence got to do with proximity, absoluteness, and sitting? The absoluteness related to this sitting, Siddhati, is with respect to Guru. Because without a Guru, none of this would be possible. This is one of the foremost rules or the tenets that Upanishads put forth. Upanishads cannot be studied all by themselves. You require a Guru for you to be initiated into the study of Upanishad. There are some DIY courses as well. In our knowledge systems, there are some DIY courses as well. It's not like we were completely unskilled in that regard. There are many things that are do-it-yourself kind of courses, self-study courses as well. But when it comes to Upanishad, it's very clear that without a Guru, you cannot be initiated into the Upanishad. Therefore, the word itself comprises this proximity, closeness to whom? Closeness to Guru. And we have to sit in the vicinity, in the premises of a Guru. Only when we are seated in the premises of a Guru, in the proximity of a Guru, in the close quarters with a Guru, that's when this absoluteness dawns on us. Therefore, Upanishad becomes a meaning. It starts to make sense when somebody is in close touch, is in close quarters with their Guru. So this is something that the word itself has said. Now, it again begs the question that where do we find the Guru? Where are we going to spend time? From our day-to-day activities, are you suggesting that we spend some time, morning and evening, we will make some time, or maybe during weekends when if the Guru is available, we can book some slot, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, we can book some slots and we can visit the Guru. No, that's not how this sort of Upanishad things work. Right. We will see how this Upanishad, they have built a ramp for this. They have built a staircase for us to reach to this level as well. It's not like they have simply said that this is the meaning of the word Upanishad. And the rest of the things is left to you. However you are going to figure it out, you figure it out by yourself. No, they have not left us like that. They have given, like inch by inch, they have told us how to develop this. First and foremost, we need to realize what is the subject, what are we pursuing. Usually, the subject and the outcome are one and the same. Not many people realize this. We set out to seeking something, and whatever we are seeking, if that is not the outcome, would you be comfortable with that? Now, in Sanskrit, we have a proverb. It says that Vinayakam prakurvanaha rachayamasa vanaram. There was an architect, a novice architect. He set out to create Vinayaka. He set out to create Lord Ganesha. But eventually he ended up creating Vanara. He ended up creating a monkey. Do you think any architect would approve of this sort of a creation? Nobody would approve of it. Not even a common man, not even people like us who appreciate hard work and everything. We want to support everyone. We are there for everyone. Even though all these notions are fancy and very close to our heart, we don't appreciate when an architect started off to create something and ended up creating something else. So one needs to be in alignment. There needs to be a straight line drawn from what we originally started to seek and where we ended up. If these two are not matching at the end of the course, then it means that we have taken a detour or we did not set the goal properly. Therefore, it is fundamental for us to set the right goal initially itself. In the first stage itself, we have to set the goal right. What are we seeking? When we say Upanishad, what are we seeking? What do we stand to achieve? What do we stand to gain? We stand to achieve the absence of I-ness or the feeling of I. That is what we stand to gain. The outcome of the study of Upanishad, the outcome of the pursuit of Upanishad is very difficult to put it into words. We need to rely upon various other factors in order to make it sound sensible. Like how I said, the absence of I-ness or the absence of the feeling of I, the consciousness. Now, these are some very difficult terms. It seems like, this is something that it's very shady. It's not clear. It's not precise. It becomes clear, it becomes precise only when we experience it, because Upanishad is mostly experiential by nature. Then what about the literature that has survived in the name of Upanishad? The literature that we have in the name of Upanishad, they all pave way, they all showcase, if we keep on following this path, then we would eventually end up in this particular destination. Therefore, if the absoluteness or the losing of our identity, that is the whole point of life, losing the identity. So before we set out for this journey, we have to take a stock that how have we identified ourselves? And the world is already involved in identity crisis today, but not that kind of an identity crisis. Should I call myself this or that? No. What are my pronouns? Not that kind of identity I'm speaking about here. The kind of identity is, how have we recognized ourselves? There is an interesting theory in our knowledge systems. We all use plenty of words, isn't it? Now, the real question is, when we hear a word, when we listen to a word, where exactly is that word landing? What is the landing point of that word? We think that our ears are the landing point of that word. It's only the waves of the sound that are landing on our ears. But the words, when we hear, immediately after hearing to a word, we end up in a particular product. Our mind gets to a particular spot. Now, the question is, do we end up on the product or do we end up in realizing the essence of that product? This is how deep they have analyzed about speech, about words and meanings. When we say words and meanings are indivisible, they cannot be separated at all. They are inseparable in nature. Vagrabdhaviva sampriktau. Of course, they are inseparable. But exactly how are we perceiving the meaning of a word that we are hearing? Even now, when I am speaking and you are hearing, I don't know if you are getting to the very essence of each and every word that I'm speaking. Because there could be plenty of other stops as well, other junctions as well, where according to our samskara, according to our capabilities, we may end. That needs to be sorted out. Therefore, when we say that this is the ultimate destination of the Upanishad, we must ensure that we are all landing in the same place. For somebody, Upanishad may mean this big book, and they may end up in the library. They say that, yes, I have reached the Upanishad. For somebody, it could be some other commentary. For someone, it could be the practice, the chanting of all the mantras, the hymns that are found in the Upanishad. What exactly is Upanishad? That needs to be determined. And that forms the basis of the subject content or the subject that we are seeking, which will eventually turn out to be the outcome of the pursuit of Upanishads as well. They said that, as I mentioned, it's about demystifying ourselves. It's about de-identification of ourselves. How exactly have we identified? As I said, we are supposed to identify ourselves with the essence of ourselves. What is the essence of ourselves? Another difficult question to answer. But generally speaking, this is the common perspective that we all have about ourselves. We recognize ourselves with the body that we have, because it is visible to our naked eye. We can sense, we can feel, we can touch, we can smell, we can see, we can witness. Since all of this is within the purview, within the parameters of our experience, we have fixated on the fact that this body is how I recognize myself. This is me. But over the long course of our life, we do have another notion related to this. We do get some self-doubts, and when in self-doubt, when we start contemplating on it, we do realize that this body could not be me. Maybe with the help of some books, some good lectures, and all these things, we definitely want to come to this conclusion that the body is not me. I am something beyond the body. And right at this moment, you will come across some beautiful stotra written by a great sadhaka, a great yogi like Adi Shankaracharya. It says that Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. How beautiful, isn't it? Let me make this my status. And this would be my description. Who am I? Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Beautiful. I'm not discouraging somebody from not putting up all these kind of things. But the journey from recognizing ourselves through this body or within this body to Chidananda Rupa Shivoham is a long one, and it involves several steps. It involves enhancements at the right time. And that's what is the most important part, which I wanted to discuss today. See, the definition of the Upanishad, the basic understanding of the Upanishad, how many Upanishads are there, all these things are trivial. You can find, you can read. I've already given you the reference book. You can read it all by yourself. And you don't need a person to tell you all the things that are already existing in the textbook, isn't it? I'm not doing a good job if I'm going to say everything that is already written in the textbook. I'm here to make things easy, or I am the cog that connects you with the reference book. And how do we connect ourselves? We all can admit, we can take a moment and we can admit to ourselves that yes, so far, I have not been able to reach beyond my body. I still consider my body as myself. It's one thing to claim that, no, I am consciousness, I am Shiva, I am God. All these things are fancy to say, but have we realized it? Even if we have realized it, by chance, if we have realized it, how long were we able to hold on to that realization also matters. We may have been able to hold on to that realization for a few minutes, for a few seconds. What about the rest of our life? In a day, in an entire day, we have always been brought down with so many worldly affairs that it becomes highly difficult for us to maintain that equilibrium. Therefore, this is a constant thing. This is the reason why Krishna had to say these lines to Arjuna. Asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam. Said that you are absolutely right, Arjuna. It is impossible to control and tame the mind. But not everything is lost. Just because something is impossible, it doesn't mean that you cannot try, or it cannot be made possible in a long course of time. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Abhyasa and vairagya. These are the two fundamentals that Krishna gave to the world. And these two fundamentals consist the corpus of the eligibility criteria for the pursuit of Upanishad, which we are going to discuss today. It's one thing that we are all enthusiastically, we have joined together to pursue the Yoga Upanishads. But we need to evaluate ourselves that where are we starting? Not to demean ourselves, not to discourage ourselves, but to get a reality check that this is where we are, this is where we stand, and we have a very long way to go. So a quick reality check about ourselves. And I'm including myself as well, just because I'm the one who is speaking with the face on. And apart from 3 or 4 people, the rest of them do not have the faces shown. It doesn't mean that I know everything, and I'm speaking only to those people who have made themselves invisible, and it's applicable to every one of us. Now, of all the things, Vishaya, the 4 important aspects is Vishaya, as I said, subject, and usually subject is the one that ends up as the outcome. So Vishaya and Prayojana is already sorted. Prayojana is the outcome, Vishaya is the subject and Prayojana, you keep Vishaya, the subject, as point A and Prayojana as point D, and A to D should be a straight line. And in between, it should be a straight line, the thing that ensures that the journey from point A to point D is straight. The thing that ensures this is called as sambandha, correlation. This is the 3rd aspect. Until and unless we have that correlation, everything is lost. We started off somewhere and we ended up somewhere else. No, that should not happen. To ensure that we end up what we sought after initially, we need that correlation always working. That's the glue that holds us together, that makes us, that puts us together in the path. In today's jargon, the Google map, that is the sambandha. It helps us stay on the course, isn't it? No matter how beautiful the other path is, the Google map lady will tell us that, please continue in the same road. Please continue in the same road for another 20 kilometers or 40 or whatever it is. It never allows us to sway away from the path. So that which ensures we have a good connection, we have a good correlation with the Google map. The first and foremost thing that we all realize is the kind of correlation that we have with the Google map is the proximity, isn't it? It's very close to us. We always tend to keep it very close to ourselves. You can't leave your phone at home and expect your phone to guide you in a long road trip. You need to have your phone with you. Likewise, the importance of Guru, the importance of Upanishad, I'm just trying to highlight the importance of Upanishad. If it needs to be an Upanishad, then it needs to be in close quarters. We can't have a virtual Guru sitting somewhere hundreds and thousands of kilometers away and expect us to be following that path. It rarely happens. It doesn't happen. I don't want to break the heart, so that's why I said it rarely happens. Right? If we have sorted these 3 things, subject, outcome, correlation, then comes the most important one, self-evaluation. Because throughout the journey, the onus is always on evaluation. Only self-evaluation will end up getting us validated. If we are not validated in our pursuit, then no knowledge is better than an invalid knowledge. Therefore, all our knowledge needs to be validated. The best way to validate whatever we know is by experience. And to ensure that we are getting the right experience, we need to have a correlation with the Guru. That's where Upanishad comes in. This is the reason why no matter whatever practice we are doing, we are practicing asanas every day, like a clockwork. Fantastic. Hats off to you. But at the same time, please ensure that if you do not include the aspect of Upanishad into your life, into your yogic pursuit, it becomes sort of tasteless. The absence of the knowledge of Yoga Upanishads is equivalent to a kheer prepared without sugar. It's like sugarless kheer. We may end up calling it as kheer. It's like how the markets have marketed or advertised sugarless sweets these days. I mean, come on. You can't call it as sweet technically. Sugar is the content, that is the heart and soul of sweet, and you say that sugarless sweet. Upanishad is the heart and soul of yoga. And they have identified 20 of them. It's not like the principal Upanishads, Isha, Kena, Katha, these famous principal Upanishads do not possess the aspects of yoga. It is not, they are not saying that. They do have plenty of aspects related to yoga in these Upanishads. But there are 20 specifically Yoga Upanishads that are meant for understanding the essence of yoga. Isn't it wonderful to have designated 20 Upanishads? That's not one, twice the number of the principal Upanishads. And not all Upanishads are as small as Advaya-taraka Upanishad. In terms of quantity, not in terms of quality, by the way. I'm trying to quantify a qualifiable data. A statistical problem, isn't it? A statistical error. Because Advaya-taraka Upanishad, the question still is nagging, isn't it? The name of the title of the Upanishad does not bear the word yoga, and yet we have qualified it as Yoga Upanishad. There lies the beauty of the Upanishad, there lies the strength of the Upanishad, there lies the essence of Yoga Upanishad. It's not always in the title. It is like, we call ourselves with several names. And whenever we say that we always refer to this body. And we can't move beyond the body. It's something to say something like, yes, I have moved beyond my body. We have not. Because we feel everything. And whatever we are feeling through the body. We are not able to discount this body. We are still keeping this in the count. As the famous proverb in Kannada says, Atakuntu lekka killa. We cannot make this body lekka killa. It is very much part of our count. We can't remove the body from our account books. It is still a very much part of this. So now it's up to you to determine if you are going to keep this body as an asset in your accounts book, or if you are going to turn it into a liability. That depends on us. The difference between making our body an asset or a liability lies in our understanding, in our comprehension of these Upanishads. And in order to understand these Upanishads, it's already time, I guess. We still have half an hour. Oh, sorry. I got lost of the track of the time. Okay. There are 10 principal things, fundamental things, which can be listed as the attributes, the essential attributes for the pursuit of Yoga Upanishads. For many of you who are attending my lecture, this might be a repetition of several things that you have already heard. It doesn't matter. You have to keep on revisiting it. Only then it becomes firm. So what are these 10 important things? First one, as Adi Shankaracharya has called it out, Viveka. First and foremost thing that is required, the most fundamental, essential attribute for somebody who is willing to pursue yoga is Viveka. Of course, you need to have a sound body, sound mind, all those things are given. But beyond that, we need Viveka. What is Viveka? The ability to distinguish between what is true and what is untrue, what is right and what is false, what is the truth and what is the false, what is good and what is bad. This ability to distinguish sets us apart. It gives us plenty of miles in the pursuit of yoga. Most of the times, we end up not being able to distinguish between these two things. We don't know what is true and what is untrue. Unless it is as clear as daylight, we are fine. When we have to distinguish between day and night, it's easy for us. But when somebody asks us to distinguish between deity and the Supreme One, or these kind of things, that's when it gets really tough. So to know, when somebody poses a question in a way that they are supposed to ask, what happens to this human body, or what happens to me when I die, when I leave this body, what happens afterwards? These are some of the questions, or the nature of these questions are in such way that they won't allow us to sit quietly. They disturb us. They put us through plenty of things. And that's where Viveka helps us. We know that this is what the truth is, and this is what the untrue stuff is. So this Nitya Vastu Viveka. Nitya is that which is permanent, and Anitya is that which is impermanent. My guru used to tell us it in a very lucid way, very attractive way that none of us have ever forgotten how he used to describe it. How do you understand permanent? That which is your paramanenta is permanent. And if you know a little bit of Kannada, it's very easy to decode this. He who is your forever relative, it's not even relative. Nenta means that who has always been with you. That which always has stayed with you is called as Nenta. And that which is, there are plenty of things that has stayed with us. Even our papa, even our karma phala has stayed with us. But that is not the highest one, the greatest one. The greatest thing that has ever stayed with us is called as permanent. That is the truth. What has stayed with us under all circumstances? The absolute truth, ourselves. That's what we are trying to achieve. Everything else apart from this is untrue, is impermanent. It is that easy to understand Viveka. Right. And then the second most important thing is Vairagya. Oh no. This is not what we signed up. Yoga Upanishad, we thought that it is just more technical in nature, when here we are again falling down in style. There is a description for flying in one of the animated movies called Toy Story. They have defined what is flying. Flying is falling in style. Isn't it? When we observe, it's nothing but falling in style. Because anything that goes up has to come down. So that's how they have defined. But Vairagya is something that keeps us grounded, that never allows us to get ahead of the things, or it never allows us to lose control of the things. We are always constantly reminded, we are always oriented towards the thing that we are seeking the most, that is to realize who we truly are. Self-realization, realization of what we actually are. That's what the whole goal is. That's what the whole point is. From subject to outcome, this is what we are trying to achieve. And Vairagya helps us. How? Because in the path of pursuit, in this road of pursuit, we have a tendency to get ourselves attached to several things. We already have such kind of attachments. We may not have realized it yet, but we do have plenty of attachments. And the Upanishads are not suggesting that you cut all of those attachments and come to us. It is not possible. Technically, it is not possible. Practically, it is impossible to cut everything at a time. It requires stage by stage, level by level, inch by inch. We need to cut ourselves. And slowly and surely, we will end up with Vairagya. So the both factors, the both fundamentals, the two fundamentals given by Krishna, one of them is Vairagya. You realize how strong that fundamental needs to be. And it's a long process. It's not something that can be achieved in a fortnight. Workshop on Vairagya, 15 days. We will have you get Vairagya or paisa vapas. No, it doesn't work that way. You can't promise that. Because there are so many factors to take into consideration. Therefore, but we need to realize, we need to make a point that these are the 10 things that are essential things. Eligibility criteria. Criteria 1, viveka. Do I have viveka? Some cases I have, some cases I don't have, because nobody likes to be called as aviveki, isn't it? When we were growing up, the biggest abuse that we used to get, that which used to hurt us the most from our teachers was, if my teacher called me an aviveki, I would be sad for an entire day. My teacher called me an aviveki. It means that the greatest shameful thing that I have ever heard. Now, the word aviveki does not even fall on people's ears. Forget about falling on their ears. The modern crop of people, if they hear the word aviveki, they will note it down. They think that this is a fancy name for my child. Let me call my child aviveki. It sounds fancy, ends with, starts with A, ends with I. Where have we come? Okay, fine. Moving on. So, viveka, we have to mark and say that viveka, yes, slowly but surely, I'm moving towards it. Vairagya, next step, Vairagya, yes. Not entirely, definitely not entirely we have achieved it, but I am on path of achieving Vairagya. Third one is mumukshutva, another fundamental thing. It is like, we need to understand these are some things, viveka and vairagya are some things that can be altered. It is in software level. But mumukshutva is a hardware thing. So we need to change the default setting. It's like you have to reassemble the things. As an engineer, you have to re-engineer it. And that's where mumukshutva comes. Every single creature born in this world, in this creation, has been bestowed upon with a default setting. And that default setting is called as jijivisha, the desire to live. No creature naturally wants to die. It is something that happens over the course of time. It is an inevitable thing that happens to all those who are born. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu. This is what Krishna taught Arjuna in Gita, when he said that, see, that which is born must end. That is true. But as long as it lives, it doesn't want, naturally it doesn't want to end its life. It always wants to live. So that is jijivisha. It means that desire is so basic for us that we can't rise above it. We can't curb it. We can't put a lid on it. What we can do, when you find yourself against a formidable opposition, the best thing to do is alter your course. Work with your opposition. Now, desire can work in your favor if you know how to negotiate with it, or it can work against you as well, which is already doing. We all are subjected to the mishaps of desires, because that's the point of the beginning of the cycle of destruction. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. With association starts desire, and desire leads to anger, anger to delusion, delusion to destruction. This is the chain of destruction. Therefore, we can work, we can make something, and we can change, we can alter the desire. Instead of having this jijivisha, how about we replace it? The desire remains, the basic ingredient remains the same. It's like somebody does not like paneer. Therefore, the crux remains the same, right? But they will change the toppings on a pizza. Likewise, you just change it from jijivisha, you change it to mumuksha. What is mumuksha? The desire to liberate oneself. The idea of liberation is realization, not death. In our knowledge systems, the idea of liberation has never been death. The idea of liberation has always been realization. Realization of oneself is moksha for us. And the ichha, the desire to achieve the self-realization is called as mumuksha. We need to have that. It is the driving force. If we do not have the driving force, our vehicle won't move ahead. So this is the third one. In this order, viveka, vairagya, mumuksha. And then comes shamadhi shakka sampattihi. Shama, dama, uparati. And the remaining three. So there are six more important things. Now, what are these 6 important things? After these 6 more fundamental things. The first one amongst them is Shama. What is Shama? Not another beautiful name for a female child. No. Shama refers to control over mind. Swalakshye niyatavastha manasaha shama uchyate. We have to determine what is our goal, the destination, the outcome that we want to achieve. And when we are outcome oriented, when we are focused on that, we want to keep our mind focused only on that and not allow the mind to go elsewhere. And this ability of mind is called as Shama. It's easier said than done. We all know how quirky and how tricky our mind is. That's why they have mentioned this as an essential, as a fundamental attribute that everybody who wishes to pursue yoga needs to have. Shama. And then comes Dhamma. See, even though we may think that, it's only about mind, right? It's not only about mind. We have sense organs as well, which have a tendency to connect with the outer world. Once they start connecting with the outer world, they don't want to stop it. Look at us. Have we ever stopped? Once we start connecting outside, we don't stop. No matter how much ever our guru promises us that, close your eyes, that is the key. You will find a completely unconquered territory, unconquered kingdom awaiting you, inside you, within you. No, that's okay. I want to open my eyes. This is exactly how it happens when we try to meditate, isn't it? I'm just putting it to words, that's all. Of course, and our mind plays it in different versions, different tunes, different rhythms, different languages. It speaks to us in different kinds, but this is the gist of it. It never allows us to stay focused because it finds that the indriyas, the sense organs, they find it easy, and because they are accustomed, they are already acclimatized with the outer world. That is, therefore, it becomes important for us to have control over the sense organs as well. So this control of sense organs as well as karmendriyas, the control over jnanendriyas and karmendriyas is called as Dhamma, Shama and Dhamma. And then comes the most difficult one to master, Uparati. It says that Bahya analambanam vrittehe yesha uparati. This is Uparati, where we are not relying on the outer world. Our over-reliance, over-dependence on the outer world needs to stop. We have completely sold ourselves to the outer world in one way or the other. It feels that we can't survive without few things. It took us a pandemic to make us realize several of the wrong things where we had put ourselves in. It's impossible to live. Is it possible to work from home? Look at us, all of us, so happy staying at home. Is it possible for us to not get out of home? It did eventually become easy for us. And instead of waiting for some natural phenomenon to teach us this, the practicing of non-reliance, non-dependence on the outer world. That is the practice of uparati. And it's one of the toughest ones to practice because it's not that easy, right? And then comes my personal favorite one. All of those who have heard me, they know how much I love this one. It is called as titiksha. Very simple word. And to put it in the words of the great Kavi Bharavi, he says that na titiksha samamasti sadhanam. He said that there is no greater sadhana than the practice of titiksha. Practice titiksha, full stop, period. The rest of the things, they will come to you. That's how much important, that's how much vital titiksha is. There are 3 steps of titiksha: level 1, level 2, level 3. Foundation, intermediate, final, or master, advanced, whichever name you want to give. Foundation is sahanam sarvadukkhana. You should be able to sustain all the pain, agony, struggles that you go through. Sign me up. It's easy. That's what I want to do. I don't want to crib. I don't want to cry. I don't want to whine. I don't want to complain. I want to go through all the troubles that I have without much fuss. Okay. Immediately after that, they said that apratikara purvakam. But at the same time, you're not supposed to react on that. You're not supposed to act upon it. You should not try to get rid of all the problems that you have. Acknowledge, go through. That's all. Okay. So 80% of the crowd were reduced. And those who signed up, gradually the number came down. It said, okay, fine. Level 2 is a bit difficult. Then there is level 3 as well. See, I can go through this. I won't even react on it. I won't do anything. I won't respond to it. I will simply go through it. But at least, can I speak about this? Can I write a book on this? Can I write a memoir on this? No. Chinta vilapa rahitam. I'm not supposed to think about it, nor am I supposed to speak about it or cry about it. This is called as titiksha. Whatever we are a result of our previous karma. We are a total result of the karma phala. And karma phala, they will continue to have an influence on our life. So when karma phalas come and hit us, we are not supposed to try and get rid of them. We are not supposed to think about them. We are not supposed to worry about them and cry about them. But acknowledge it and move on. That willpower, that strength, the core strength, the gut strength that we are going to build for ourselves, that is titiksha. This is the reason why Bharavi said that na titiksha samamasti sadhan. There is no greater instrument than titiksha in life. So after titiksha, we have only 2 more to go. Next one is called as shraddha. It's a very popular word. What is shraddha? Shraddha means faith, belief, concentration. These are some of the popular words that have been given to shraddha. Whatever the instructions are given to me by my guru, I shall follow it to the last syllable. I shall follow it to its core. And I shall not refrain myself from not following it. It's not like I have an option. Whenever my guru says something, whenever my teacher asks me to do something, I wish to have multiple options, multiple choices. Can I do this? Can I do this? And again, like the new policy that has been introduced, all thanks to the government. Like, you start with a 4-year degree course. And if you're not able to finish it, and you felt like giving up, like how Arjuna felt like running away from the battlefield, after 6 months, you still end up with a certificate. For what? For staying in this course for 6 months, you end up with a certificate. Welcome to the new world. That should not happen. Shraddha means complete faith, 100% belief. There is no doubting. There is not even an inch. There is not even an ounce of doubt related to the words of Guru. Whatever our Guru says, that is Shastra Vakya, that is Veda Vakya. So that firm belief in Shastra And Guru Vakya and Veda Vakya is called as Shraddha. Nothing else matters. Only this. And lastly, and the penultimate one, not the last one, the penultimate one is called as Samadhanam. This is the 9th one in the list. If you are making a list, this should be the 9th one. The 9th one is called as Samadhanam. We are all familiar with the word Samadhanam. Whenever a crisis hits us, people come to us and tell us, Samadhanam madkuli. How? It's very interesting, isn't it? They mean well. It's just that the meaning of the word Samadhanam is lost on us these days. We have forgotten what is the true meaning of the word Samadhanam. We have been constantly using the word Samadhanam. A child is crying. We use the word Samadhanam. If a person is going through a lot of pain, we say the same thing. What is Samadhanam? Samadhanam in simpler terms means orientation, alignment. Anybody who has driven a vehicle, they all know how important it is to keep their wheels, keep the wheels of their vehicle aligned. If the wheels are not aligned properly, there will be accident, isn't it? So that's how important alignment is. As vital as alignment is to the smooth conduct, the smooth journey of a vehicle, Samadhanam is equally important for the smooth pursuit of yoga in our life. Every time our mind goes somewhere else, we need to realign it, bring it back, and remind ourselves that this is what I'm meant to do. This is the ultimate thing. To bring ourselves back on track every time we miss out. Because the number of times we miss out on things is countless. Every day it happens. My teacher used to give us an example. It's like, when you are in a class, you listen very carefully, very keenly, so interested. And when you are seated down, and do you know what is the natural tendency for any human being to do when they stand up from their seat? They dust off their clothes. Irrespective of the gender, they dust off their clothes. That's how easy it is to dust off whatever good we have heard. It goes away like that, just like that. Immediately, 2 seconds ago, we heard what is the most important thing to achieve in life, the ultimate purpose of life. Fantastic. We thought that we are in alignment. 2 seconds later, when we stood up, we dusted it off. It goes away. So to bring back the mind back on track, every single time it misses out, that's called a samadhan. It's one of the toughest things to do in life. So if we have achieved all these things, and we need something at the end, even when we have all of them, all these 9, viveka, vairagya, mumukshutva, shama, dama, uparati, titiksha, shraddha, samadhanam, all 9 of them we have. But there is one missing thing, and that missing thing is called as guru. Until and unless we have that guru, it is not possible to commandeer ourselves through this harsh, unforgiving waters of this world. They are harsh and they are unforgiving. Therefore, we need an able guide, an able guru to commandeer us through this. And the role of a guru cannot be enough highlighted in one's life. Therefore, for the pursuit of any Upanishad, this is not meant for only for Yoga Upanishad, this is meant for all Upanishads. And since we are talking about Yoga Upanishads in particular, the pursuit of Yoga Upanishad relies on our achievement of these 10 important fundamentals. If we have these 10 fundamentals covered, then we are in the prime seat. We are in we're in the top seat to achieve whatever the Yoga Upanishad says. We will be in the front end to receive the Upanishads whatever the Upanishads have to offer. The prime capability of a person who is pursuing Yoga Upanishad is when they have all these 10 fundamentals. This is called as adhikara sampat. And one who has all these 10 is called as an adhikari, eligible. So throughout our life, our only wish should be to get that seal of eligible on ourselves. The day we become eligible, that's a day to behold, because everything else falls in line, starting that day onwards. So with this small introduction to Yoga Upanishad, I hope I have not tormented or scared the daylight out of you by saying that these are the 10 fundamental things. As I said, even though these are prerequisites, even though these are like eligibility criteria for the study of Yoga Upanishads, it should not discourage one, because we can work both of them side by side. We can start pursuing Yoga Upanishad. At the same time, we can make a rule. Like, how much of our day, how much of my day am I going to dedicate to pursue, to achieve different levels of all these 10 important prerequisites in my life? That is the proper way of pursuing Yoga Upanishads. And only when we pursue it like this, it becomes more meaningful. So with these concluding lines, I would like to end the session here. We still have 12 minutes left for question and answers. I was supposed to give 15 minutes. I've taken 3 extra minutes, which will be returned to you over the next remaining classes. Always paying the debt. I will pay you back the remaining 3 minutes. So the floor is open for questions. If you have any questions related to whatever we discussed today, the floor is open to you. You may write, you may type the question, or you can ask the questions as well by raising your hand.
Namaskara, sir.
Namaste, sir. Namaste.
Swami. Namaste.
Namaste.
I switch on the video also so that we can see each other. Okay.
Yes, yes. Namaste, sir. Namaste.
My question, though I understood almost all whatever you say, because already I am in this path of study, not in the path of mumukshutva, but path of study.
Yes.
The main question what I want to know, you are saying Jiji Vishama.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And also you say Vairagya. If I have Jiji Vishama, how can I have the Vairagya?
Yeah. Got it. See, as long as we have Jiji Visha, it is difficult to achieve Vairagya 100%. It is like how we market the tablet, how we market the medicine. Are we going to market it as through replace Jiji Visha with Mumuksha? This is one way of going about it. Or we can say that practice Vairagya in life. Krishna chose the other one. He said, Abhyasena and Vairagyena. Said Vairagya is fundamental, it's most important. The Upanishads, they have told that they have added this Mumukshutva as well. Now, why is it difficult to place both Jiji Visha and Vairagya together is Jiji Visha can happen only through the help of body. We cannot expect Jiji Visha to remain without the body. Therefore, there is a constant reliance on the body. So it won't allow us to have it anyway other around. Whereas when it comes to Mumuksha, the moment we replace it with self-realization, the desire to realize ourselves, it has got no connection. It has got no boundaries. It is not bound by any particular thing. Therefore, the moment Mumuksha is introduced, the path for Vairagya becomes easier. I'm not saying that it will be achieved immediately, but it becomes easier in comparison with Jiji Visha. As long as Jiji Visha is there, I'm always bound to take care of the bodily needs, the physical needs. That's where my mind is always focused upon. So it becomes difficult. Therefore, it's important for us not only to practice Vairagya, but along that, we need to include mumukshutva as well. So mumukshutva and Vairagya, they can coexist, they can grow together. Was I able to answer your question?
Dhanyavad, sir. Dhanyavad. The day processes, the talks will proceed further. We will learn more deeper questions.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm very happy. I'm very happy and very much satisfied the way you have given the talk. Yes.
Thank you.
Namaskara.
Namaskar,
madam. Sir, you spoke about Paramanenta.
Yes.
You can, if possible, you can elaborate on this, or maybe some other.
It was just a literary, exercise that was done. See, most of the times we tend to attach ourselves or associate ourselves. I would not even use the word attach. We acquaint ourselves, we associate ourselves with all the impermanent things, all the temporary things. We know that none of these things that are around us are going to stay with us forever. We are also sure that when we leave this body, we don't know what happens because we have never realized what we truly are. And yet somehow, every single day of our life, we end up making more and more acquisitions, more and more acquaintance, more and more associations in the outer world with the impermanent things, with the temporary things. That's because we have not realized who is going to or what is going to stay with us for a long time. We have this aviveka in this regard. Therefore, in order to ward it off, how do we remember that this is permanent? Because there are many people who promise that. Take, for example, the job. We are supposed to work for around 30 years of our life, 30 to 40 years of our life. They have a distinction in that as well. Permanent job, temporary job. The whole life is temporary. And here we are fighting for permanent job and temporary jobs. You see how the myth is created. We are always attracted, like moths attracted towards light. We are attracted towards all the impermanent things. And in order to remind ourselves, we can break that word and say that which is the greatest amongst the things that stay with us for a very long time, that is called as paramanenta. Whatever is paramanenta is permanent. Only one thing, dharma remains. Oh, you can call it.
That's what I wanted to ask. Yeah. If can we ponder on what actually remains with us?
Yeah, that can be told in different words. That can be articulated in different words, through different words. It can be called as dharma, it can be called as atma, it can be called as brahma, it can be called as self. Plenty of words. It's our perspective that matters, that's all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So there is a question in the chat box.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry, I did not see that. Yes. Yeah.
Naren, would you like to ask?
No, that was the message I put in the middle of the talk.
Oh, okay.
There is no question, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. It's about, I think it was in the context of samadhanam, to put back, to put the mind back on track. Yes, of course.
Yes, sir.
That's correct. Yeah.
Sir, our understanding has to be very clear about all the stages of this Upanishad, what you said.
Yes.
In my opinion, I just want to take a little liberty to speak a little bit open here in stating that we have two lives. We are living with two lives, not one life. One is the Laukika, one is Adhyatmika.
Yes.
100% of our life is Laukika, not Adhyatmika. For everyone, unless somebody has got the enlightenment. Yes. Not 100% enlightenment, like somebody says that, okay, Jaggi Vasudev, or of course, Ramakrishna Paramahans was the enlightened person. When we say in Laukika, I say that permanent is good thing. Because to make us very clear in my day-to-day activity to schedule, okay, my job is permanent. That means for 1 month I can take the railway pass or bus pass or hire a cab or like that. But in Adhyatmika, as soon as I elevate our mind and understand the world, we once we reach to the Adhyatmika thinking, then only we say, okay, whatever I did, everything was zero. There was nothing I did great, everything was zero. Now I have to start from the fresh to reach. And your guidance and your teaching helps in attaining that. This is what I wanted to say. This knowledge, jnana, is important. Without jnana, I cannot achieve Adhyatmika. I cannot shift from Laukika to Adhyatmika. Of course, yoga is very much required for everything. Without yoga, we cannot change from Laukika to Adhyatmika. That is why Ramakrishna Paramahansa, though he was not doing yogic practice, but he was called greatest yogi. Vivekananda was called yogi. There is no posture of yoga from them. Dhanyavada.
Yes, I'm reminded of a beautiful definition on yoga given by Dr. V. Raghavan. He said that yoga is many things and the combination of many things at the same time. It is there are so many processes involved and we can call each and every one of them as yoga. And when we bring all of them together, that also becomes yoga. So it's very important for us to keep that yoga always in the center of it. And I will also tell you in the next session, what is the Upanishadic view of yoga? How has Upanishad viewed yoga? Unlike what we are used to these days about yoga, like Ashtanga yoga, Nada yoga, Hatha yoga, several new yogas. But what is the original take of Upanishads on yoga? It's wonderful. There are two important words that we need to focus on, Anuyoga and Mano yoga. These are the words that Upanishad themselves use. Anuyoga means pricha, the question. Bhrugurvai varunihi varunam pitaram upasasara. Adhihi bhagavo brahmeti. Just look at the sentences. They mean that Bhrugu, he was Varuna's son. So Bhrugu went to his father. A son goes to his father and asks the question, Adhihi bhagavo brahmeti. Hey Bhagavan, oh, my father, please teach me Brahma. What is Brahma? This is the question. It begins with a question. And we have not been asking the right questions to ourselves. That's another important loophole that we find ourselves in that has let us down. As Sir pointed out, it's about not merely about bodily postures or anything. And how did Ramana Maharshi or Ramakrishna Paramahamsa or Vivekananda, all these people were able to achieve? They asked the right question at the right time to the right person. And when they got the answer, they followed it rightly. They did not sway away from that path. When Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda as a young boy, when he approached Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and he asked that question and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa initiated him, he did not look back, isn't it? He never questioned the authority of Ramakrishna Param. How do you know? What works have you studied? Where are your degree certificates? He did not ask any of it. He followed him. And that faith, that belief, that shraddha, that needs to come back. And we are unfortunate that we are lacking all those basic ingredients that are required. So I sincerely hope that the pursuit of Yoga Upanishads at least will elevate us to a level where we can claim that we are able to, from 2% to we have risen to a level of 10% or 12% or hopefully 80% of these prerequisites. We have filled the prerequisites. If that happens, our pursuit of Yoga Upanishads would have rendered its fruit. And again, it's not a rule that we start pursuing one thing. It's no rule that it should be pursued only once. I remember a small anecdote I want to share with everyone, because how I was made humble, how I was put down. As a student, I thought that if you study one work, any work once, it should be sufficient enough for you. That's how we were all taught in the school. You study a textbook for an entire year and you become well versed with that, and you're done for your life, because once that class is over, once that year is over, you're introduced to a new text. I asked my teacher one day, how come you remember each and every line and you can recall it at any given point of time? And here I am. I have also studied the work that you are teaching us. And I was this close with my teacher. So I asked him, like, how come it was like a conversation between a grandchild and a grandfather. So I asked him, like, how come you remember every time and you are able to recall every time? He asked me one simple question. How many times have you studied this work? Tell me sincerely, honestly. I said, I have studied it once, completely. He looked at me. He had a wry smile on his face, and I said, I have studied it 25 times. You see the difference between him and myself? That consistency is required. And we feel that Yoga Upanishad, Advaya-taraka Upanishad, I have studied it once. Oh, fine, finished. It doesn't happen that way. You have to keep on repeating the same thing again and again and again. And that's how we can build on these prerequisites as well. It's just a small reminder that this is a long journey. And don't worry. And as I said, I am with you. I am also a co-passenger. I'm not somebody who is only preaching. I'm not simply preaching. I'm also walking the same path. It's a long journey.
You are absolutely correct, sir. Our Vinay sir also says abhyasa, abhyasa, abhyasa.
Yeah, that's it.
Without abhyasa, nothing. You cannot improve.
Exactly. So it should be like, abhyasa infinite. Keep on practicing. Eventually, we will land there. Okay.
Sir,
yes, ma'am. Yes.
yes, I had a question. So the little bit of studies that I've done, firstly, thank you for a wonderful session.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so now the little bit of yogic studies that I've done, and I realized that this is probably the greatest social and psychological science. And yet today it has been reduced to just a physical science. I mean, your views on that, and why do you think that has happened?
Oh, see, we can't take away the physical aspect of yoga. Sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam. Body is fundamental. Human body is a great asset. It's unfortunate that we have turned it into a liability, but it's important to maintain it as a non-depreciating asset. Sorry for the technical terms, but it is an asset and we have to maintain it. So our focus on body is not bad, but if our focus is only on our physical aspect, then it is bad. We need to know what we are trying to achieve. Why am I practicing any particular asana, for that matter of fact? I should be able to know the answer for that, because the answers are written, they are hidden, they are told in the sutras. When they say sthira sukham asanam, where are they heading? Where are they pointing us? They are pointing us towards that sthairya, that sthirata, that stability. Why do we need to achieve stability in our body? It's a simple question. We need to achieve that stability in our body because a stable body will enable a stable mind. Until and unless we have the body stabilized, the mind we can't expect the mind to stay quiet. Therefore, we need to balance, we need to pan out our scheduling, our energy, our approach towards yoga. It must become more wholesome. It must become holistic in terms of our approach towards yoga, rather than it remaining as physical oriented. And whatever is happening in today's world, my counter question is, should we not be glad that at least this much is happening? Just imagine if even this won't happen, and if we stand to lose another one of the major branches of Indian knowledge systems, we have nobody else but ourselves to blame for that. So yes, we are fighting for our survival. We have lost so many of our knowledge systems over so many years. As we saw in the beginning of the talk itself, 1,108 branches of Vedas, 1,180 Upanishads, and we have only 108 left today.
Mm.
And if we can't even maintain that and pass it on, it's very shameful, isn't it? So we have to begin somewhere. So we all have begun somewhere. Let us not remain there. Let us understand that it has got more to it, and slowly we can build on that. This is the reason why Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, "Na buddhi bhedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam." The people who are innocent, who know nothing, but who are involved in an activity, don't go and brainwash them and sway them away from this particular thing, saying that the way we articulate it is very important. If I go and tell to every yoga school that is there and start telling them that there is no use in performing all these asanas, and not only will they hit me and shoot me, that's another thing that I have to bear the consequences, but also I'm misleading them, isn't it?
Yes.
I have to give them the right perspective. So as long as the right perspective is not achieved in the right way, and it has not been conveyed to them in the right way, let them go, let them pursue that path, because it's not hurting anybody, at least. So, let them pursue that path, but slowly we have to educate the masses. We have to educate ourselves. After all, it's our country. They are the brethren. They belong to they belong to us. They are our property. So, don't mistake me if I call the people of this country as our property. It's okay for other people to call them as human resources, but it becomes politically incorrect if I call them as property. You get that sense of belongingness when you view them as their property, because when it is our property, we don't want to let it go. We don't want anything happen to them. So we need to develop that kind of attitude towards our fellow people as well. I think that would be the right approach. So don't blame, and at the same time, don't ignore them. Slowly bring them to the main fold. That would be my take on that.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no more questions, I think we can conclude the session.
Thank you so much, sir, for explaining so beautifully what Upanishads are, and also touching upon how Advaya-taraka qualifies as a Yoga Upanishad. So it's making us ponder whether our body is really an asset or a liability. I'm sure most of us are thinking over it. And as we try to meet the 10 essential attributes of yoga sadhakas. We look forward to more thought-provoking explanations as we demystify the Yoga Upanishads in the subsequent sessions. So thank you so much, sir, for your time and the wonderful session.
Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. We look forward to meeting you all again in the next session. So thank you so much.